Your dog has just discovered their tail again. This is not the first time, this is not even the first time today, and yet the tail remains as surprising and pursuit-worthy to your dog as it apparently was the first time they noticed it, approximately 12 minutes after becoming aware of their own existence. And occasionally they catch it and then seem briefly puzzled by what to do next. Welcome to Hidden Paw Signals. Today, we are going into tail chasing, what it actually is, what drives it, when it is completely normal and entertaining, and when it is a signal worth paying closer attention to. Subscribe now, because this one covers the full range from harmlessly adorable to something your vet should know about, and knowing the difference matters. Let us start with the most innocent and common version, playful tail chasing in puppies and young dogs. Puppies discover their own body parts gradually as their proprioceptive awareness develops, their understanding of where their own body is in space and what the various parts of it are doing. The tail is a moving object that is attached to the puppy and that moves when the puppy moves in ways that are not yet fully integrated into the puppy's body awareness. From a developmental neuroscience perspective, the young dog is genuinely exploring a stimulus that their developing sensory and motor systems have not yet fully mapped. The tail moves, the pursuit instinct activates, and the chase begins. This is completely normal developmental behavior that most dogs naturally outgrow as their proprioceptive development matures and they develop a more complete internal model of their own body. Your dog does this too, right? How old is your dog, and how often does the tail chase happen? Drop it in the comments because the age and frequency together tell us something important about which category of tail chasing we are dealing with. In adult dogs, occasional tail chasing during play, high arousal or excitement is generally benign and connected to the same predatory motor sequence activation that underlies many dog play behaviors. The moving tail is a triggering stimulus for the predatory sequence's chase component, and in a playful, aroused state, any sufficiently moving object, including the dog's own tail, can activate that sequence. This is functionally similar to why dogs sometimes chase their own shadow or react to reflections. The stimulus characteristics match the trigger profile well enough that the motor sequence activates, even when the cognitive processing knows, at some level, that this is not an actual prey item. Occasional play-associated tail chasing in an otherwise normally behaving adult dog is generally in this category and does not require intervention. Where tail chasing becomes worth taking seriously is when it becomes frequent, compulsive, or appears disconnected from obvious triggering stimuli. Research on compulsive disorders in dogs, published in Applied Animal Behavior Science and Journal of Veterinary Behavior, has identified tail chasing as one of the documented compulsive behaviors in dogs, particularly certain breeds, including bull terriers and German shepherds, in which the behavior can develop into a pattern that significantly interferes with normal daily functioning. Compulsive tail chasing differs from playful or excited tail chasing in several important ways. It is harder to interrupt and redirect. It continues past the point where the triggering arousal would normally dissipate. It may cause the dog to injure their own tail through biting, and it tends to increase in frequency over time rather than remaining stable. If your dog's tail chasing fits this more compulsive pattern, it is worth discussing with your vet, because compulsive behaviors in dogs respond well to professional intervention that may include both behavioral modification and, in some cases, medication, and they tend to get harder to address the longer they go unaddressed. There is also a medical dimension that is worth knowing about. Tail chasing, or attention directed intensely to the tail, can sometimes be triggered by physical irritation in the tail or perianal area, a hot spot, flea irritation, anal gland discomfort, or a dermatological issue. If your dog seems to be chasing or biting at their tail in a way that is focused specifically on catching and biting it, rather than in the playful spinning pursuit pattern, and particularly if there is any physical change visible in the tail area, that is worth veterinary evaluation. Physical discomfort in the tail area looks different from predatory play or compulsive behavior once you know what to look for. The dog is trying to reach a specific location rather than pursuing a moving target, and the behavior tends to be more persistent and less responsive to distraction. The vast majority of tail chasing you will observe in your dog over their lifetime is the playful, arousal-activated variety that is both normal and genuinely very funny to watch. Your dog is performing an ancient pursuit behavior on a target that is attached to them and that they will never catch in any satisfying way. The philosophical implications of this are left as an exercise for the viewer. There is also an interesting breed-specific concentration of tail chasing worth knowing about that adds a genetic and neurological layer to the story. Bull Terriers, in particular, have been studied as a breed with a documented elevated incidence of compulsive tail chasing, and research on this population has found that the behavior in affected individuals shares neurological markers with obsessive-compulsive spectrum disorders in humans, including similar responses to the same classes of medication used in human OCD treatment. This does not mean that all tail chasing is OCD spectrum behavior. It means that in the subset of dogs where tail chasing has become compulsive rather than playful, the underlying mechanism may involve neurological factors beyond simple habit formation, and professional veterinary behavioral evaluation is important for those cases. The distinction between playful tail chasing and the OCD spectrum version is usually visible in the quality of the dog's engagement with the behavior. Playful tail chasing is loose, interruption responsive, often play bowed into, and coexists happily with other normal dog behaviors. The compulsive version is tense, hard to interrupt, escalating rather than self-limiting, and tends to consume the dog's behavioral repertoire at the expense of normal activities. The dog chasing their tail with obvious play energy while you laugh and they glance at you to share the moment is in the first category. The dog who has been chasing their tail for 20 minutes and cannot be reached by food or their name is in the second. One is developmental and temperamental, one is clinical. Both deserve to be understood for what they are, and only the second one warrants the kind of professional attention that can actually make a difference. For the vast majority of dog owners, the tail chasing they observe falls clearly into the first category, and the most appropriate response is amusement, maybe a phone to document it, and a treat to redirect when the moment is right. What I find most interesting about the tail-chasing behavior from a broader perspective is what it reveals about the predatory motor sequence as a general organizing system in dog behavior. The sequence, stalk, chase, grab, kill, consume, does not require a real external target to activate. It can be triggered by internal arousal alone, when no appropriate external target is available. And when it is, it tends to find the nearest available moving thing to direct itself toward. The tail is particularly well positioned to receive this activation because it moves when the dog moves, making it a perpetually available stimulus for the chase component. Understanding the predatory motor sequence as a general arousal system, not just a hunting behavior, helps explain a lot beyond tail chasing, including toy obsessions and shadow chasing. Your dog is not broken for chasing their own tail. They are expressing a behavioral sequence that has been present in their lineage for millions of years, in the limited and somewhat absurd context of a living room on a Tuesday. There is also something worth knowing about the role of attention and reinforcement in the development and maintenance of tail-chasing behavior that has direct practical relevance. When owners laugh at tail chasing, call other people over to watch, or engage with the dog in any animated way during a tail chasing episode, they are providing a reinforcement signal that can increase the frequency of the behavior over time. The dog receives an interesting and rewarding social response, and the behavior system notes that tail chasing produces this outcome. That does not mean you should feel bad for laughing at it, but if the tail chasing is increasing over time, it is worth asking whether your response has been reinforcing it. Calmly redirecting to a toy or a settled position without making a big production of it interrupts the episode while avoiding the rewarding social response that reinforces repetition. Over time, consistently calm, non-reinforcing responses to tail chasing tend to reduce frequency in dogs where the attention-seeking dimension is a significant contributor. And for transparency on my sources, the research on compulsive behaviors and tail chasing in dogs that I keep referencing is published in Applied Animal Behavior Science and the Journal of Veterinary Behavior, including the work on specific breeds like bull terriers. I only build these videos on peer-reviewed science. Just a quick note before you go, everything I share on this channel comes from my own research and learning journey. I am not a vet, I am not a scientist, and I am definitely not a certified dog behaviorist. This is just one person going way too deep into dog psychology and sharing what they found. So please, if your dog is showing any serious, sudden, or unusual symptoms, do not diagnose it with YouTube. Go see your actual vet. They went to school for this. I watched videos about it. Those are different things. And as always, this video was produced with the help of artificial intelligence. Thanks for watching Hidden Paw Signals. See you in the next one.